Shedeur Sanders lost the Cleveland Browns quarterback battle. But if you think that means the story is over, you're missing what Todd Monken actually said about him. Because before Cleveland made its decision, the Browns head coach went back and watched Sanders' first half against Buffalo. And instead of tearing apart the rookie's performance, Monken highlighted something that should have Browns fans paying attention. He said Sanders operated much more smoothly than he did the previous week. He specifically praised his cadence, his huddle operation, and his command of the offense. Monken even said that command had grown leaps and bounds. That's important because one of the biggest questions surrounding Sanders was never simply whether he could throw. It was whether he could run an NFL offense. Could he process the defense? Could he control the line of scrimmage? Could he handle the cadence? Could he recognize coverage before the snap? Against Buffalo, Sanders gave Cleveland some interesting answers. But then came the decision. On August 24th, Cleveland named Deshaun Watson the Week 1 starter, with Sanders moving into the backup role. And now the entire situation looks different. This isn't simply a story about a rookie losing a quarterback competition. It's about a young quarterback who showed enough progress to make the decision genuinely interesting, while a veteran with experience still walked away with the job. And the most interesting part might be what happens next. Let's start with what Sanders actually showed on the field. Against Buffalo, Sanders completed 9 of 11 passes for 74 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Watson later finished 5 of 12 for 35 yards and an interception. Those numbers don't tell the entire story, and Monken clearly didn't believe they did either. When asked about Sanders after reviewing the half, Monken focused on progression. He said Sanders handled the cadence more smoothly, got in and out of the huddle more efficiently, and had opportunities to draw defenders offside. He also praised his ability to stand in the pocket and make throws downfield when protection held up. That's a very different description from the idea that a young quarterback is completely lost. And it becomes even more interesting when you look at how Sanders operated before the snap. One of the things Monken uses in his offense is motion. A receiver or running back moves across the formation, forcing the defense to reveal information. Is it man coverage? Is it zone? Does a defender follow the motion? Does he pass the player off? The quarterback gets information before the ball is even snapped. Sanders appeared comfortable using that information. On one play, Isaiah Bond goes into motion. Sanders watches how the coverage reacts, confirms what the defense is showing, and attacks with a concept designed for it. The offensive line gives him enough time. Sanders doesn't panic or drift unnecessarily. He stays in the pocket and delivers the football downfield. That's the kind of play that can get lost when everyone is obsessing over statistics, because the throw is only part of the job. The quarterback has to understand what the defense is doing, recognize what the play is designed to attack, manage the pocket, and then make the throw. And Monken's comments suggest Sanders was making progress in those areas. That directly challenges one of the biggest criticisms surrounding him. For months, people questioned whether Sanders could process NFL defenses quickly enough. But a quarterback doesn't have to be perfect to show progress. He has to recognize what went wrong, fix it, and make the next play correctly. According to his head coach, Sanders was doing that. But then came another detail that deserves attention: the cadence. Remember that? The quarterback's voice at the line, the rhythm, the hard count, the ability to make a defender think the football is about to be snapped when it isn't. It sounds small. It isn't. If a quarterback can manipulate a defender before the snap and force him across the line, that's essentially free yardage. And Sanders reportedly created multiple opportunities for exactly that against Buffalo. That doesn't automatically make him a great quarterback, but it challenges the argument that he couldn't command the offense. If the defense is reacting to your cadence, the defense is listening to you. And Monken specifically mentioned those opportunities when discussing Sanders' performance. So while the internet was debating whether Sanders looked ready, his head coach was pointing to tangible signs of development: better cadence, better huddle operation, better command, and better execution. That doesn't mean Sanders suddenly became a finished product. He still threw an interception. He still had moments where pressure affected him. But that's different from saying he isn't developing. And that's where we have to be fair. The Browns weren't comparing Sanders to a random backup. They were comparing him to Deshaun Watson. Watson has experience, a long NFL resume, and a massive contract. Cleveland gave him a fully guaranteed 5-year, $230 million deal in 2022. His time with the Browns has been interrupted by suspension, injuries, and limited availability. So, naturally, fans are going to wonder whether that history influenced the decision. But we can't simply assume it did. Monken was asked directly about who had input into the quarterback decision. He acknowledged that football decisions involve everyone, including the front office and ownership. But when it came to the quarterback, he said ultimately the decision would be his. Then he made it. Watson is QB1. Sanders is QB2, at least to start the season. And that's where this story takes another turn. Sanders losing the starting job doesn't mean the Browns have given up on him. In fact, Monken's comments suggest the opposite. After informing Sanders of the decision, Monken praised his response and his willingness to keep improving. Now Sanders gets something he didn't have during the competition. Time to study the offense, time to watch Watson operate it, time to learn what Monken expects, and time to fix the mistakes that kept him from winning the job. Meanwhile, Watson has something Sanders doesn't: pressure. Cleveland has already told the world who its starter is. That means Watson can't simply be the veteran who gets the benefit of the doubt. He has to perform. If he struggles, every good Sanders throw becomes more important. Every successful pre-snap read becomes another talking point. Every mistake by Watson will bring the rookie's name back into the conversation. That's the reality of a quarterback competition. Right now, Watson gets the first opportunity. Sanders gets the development period. But the debate isn't necessarily over. Monken's comments matter because he didn't describe Sanders as overwhelmed or incapable. He described a young quarterback getting better quickly. The Browns chose experience for the immediate moment, while continuing to develop a rookie who is clearly making progress. Watson gets the first chance. Sanders gets the long runway. And now every snap matters. Because the next time Cleveland's quarterback situation becomes a conversation, it won't just be about what Sanders might be capable of. It will be about what he has already shown. The starting job belongs to Watson today. But the pressure is real. And if Watson struggles, Shedeur Sanders will be standing right there,